Well, I think the public perception of Number 10 is only the front and the surface and the politics and the diplomacy and the business of government. It's very easy for the public to forget that there's a whole range of other jobs and other people's lives who are connected to Number 10. We have invited a group of non-political staff, so members of staff who are not involved in the politics of Downing Street, to select works which they've had in their working environment over the last 30 years.
I've always thought it'd be a really nice thing to do, to take the art out into the public and to show them the stuff that we have here at Downing Street.
I mean, it's just a fabulous bonus for us to be able to see these great works of art, you know, sort of every day of our working life. So, for example, when we go into the White Room and see the Turners, I mean, that's just something that you wouldn't normally be able to do as part of working in an office.
The Government Art Collection is a national collection of mostly British art. We've been around for 113 years, and our role now is to promote British art, history and culture, and we do that by presenting our collection in British government buildings in capital cities all over the world.
Yeah, I think the public might be surprised how much contemporary art there is in Downing Street. It's probably got the impression of quite a stuffy, staid building, but the artwork inside is not like that at all. There's a good spread of modern, contemporary and more traditional art in here.
It's a very personal selection by these individuals. They're very passionate about it.
One of the pieces that I've chosen is by Samuel Scott, and it's of All Scars Parade. I chose this because it's still the same. If you was to see it today, it's exactly the same. There's the back gate, the garden gate, and also it was also presented to Prime Minister Bonar Law from his son-in-law.
It's an unusual take on Number 10.
I would love to see the Paul Harrison videos in there, just because, you know, it is so different.
David is the facilities manager, and he chose quite a complicated video installation by Wood and Harrison.
It's made up of 6 TV screens. The artists are the guys who are actually visible in the videos, and they all run simultaneously with their knocks and bangs and clicks going on.
It was a great experience being part of the team that chose all the pictures and just hearing different experiences and what people thought about the pieces that they chose and why they liked them.
I think we have to avoid designing this by committee. You know, we have to come up with something that's quite coherent, really, because it's all too easy for everyone to just choose their couple of choices and then throw them in, and it's difficult to make it all gel.
I chose Florence, Nightingale and Churchill and Clementine sitting on a bench. I do see both of the statues every day when coming around the staterooms and obviously downstairs or wherever if they've moved, but normally they don't. And I think they're quite lovely. That's the reason that I chose them.
You know, we are walking past these fantastic pieces of work on a daily basis when, you know, from a facilities point of view, I'm coming in to sort of see whether a room's fit for purpose.
We might have a discussion about whether we think the artworks work with one another and whether they make sense as a display.
The Whitechapel Gallery is a very, very special place in England. It's one of the first galleries that actually was purpose-built as an art gallery, bringing the best of contemporary and international art to the people of East London. For us, it's a great joy to work together with our visitors and to work together with visitors on how exhibitions are made and how you can do an exhibition. That's a wonderful chance, and actually I'm very much learning from this. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I like the idea of a stack. I'll ask the artist.
We spent quite a lot of sessions with a model of the space and little cut-out pictures, all trying to make sure our choices were in there, make sure they were arranged in the best way for the space.
This exhibition contains predominantly modern and contemporary work, although there are historical works in the display. One of the historical works is a painting of Ada Lovelace. She was the daughter of Lord Byron, but also she worked with Charles Babbage, who invented the first, or the precursor to the computer. Ada is a particularly extraordinary person. She was employed predominantly to translate from Italian into English and back to Italian, but she added in some of her own notes to the translations, And in fact, she came up with an algorithm which in essence was the first sort of computer programming. And one of the earliest computer programming languages was called Ada, after Ada Lovelace. So there's a strange connection to our contemporary culture, even from a historical work.
I chose 2 photographs for the exhibition by Seamus and Nicolson. Came across them as I was rushing to set up a presentation for the PM, and I was holding some kit, and I looked up and I thought, oh wow, they're wonderful. They're very contemporary, but they're a portrait, so they're looking at a little sort of a snapshot in time of our contemporary life today. It's a grocery shop and a person just standing there looking at the camera. So it's very much like, as you see, these pictures have some symbolic stuff and you can tell what the person does, sometimes by the objects in the background of the traditional art here. This is sort of also giving a hint that this person might be working in the shop or might be doing something. So that's really impressive.
It's been an interesting and very fast journey for them, because in 3 meetings they've moved from making a selection based purely on aesthetics and works that they like the look of, to actually thinking about what the works mean, the history of the works, and when you bring works into dialogue with one another, what works say to one another and why. So we're already at that point, and they've only really had 6 hours of meetings to discuss it. So I think that's a very fast progression.
The first piece that I chose, which was one that I liked immediately, which was John Bratby, the Dartmouth Road, which is a road in Blackheath, where he used to have a house. He comes from the kitchen sink school, and he was just obviously lying on a couch and just painting the room, and there was a cornflake box, and that sort of thing always appeals to me. You know, everyday objects and everyday scenes made into art. I find that appealing. The second choice that's, I believe, is in the exhibition is the Sickert, the Sisters Lloyd, which again, I always liked that as I wandered around the house and I saw it, because for the period it was painted, I liked the fact that the 2 subjects were offset. It wasn't a typical painting of the style you might have expected in those days, and it had quite a sort of contemporary feel to it by the framing of it.
I chose 2 paintings, one by John Virtue, which is a very large canvas depicting a London scene. In contrast to that, my other picture is by Mike Silver, and it's a lovely colourful canvas green, and it reminds me of walking through St James's Park on the way to work.
There was quite a lot of discussion about whether the exhibition was weighted too far to the historical or too far to the contemporary, and how to keep a good balance. So they discussed that for a long time, and it is a little bit weighted to the modern and contemporary now, but the historical works are very key.
I think seeing it all together, I mean, we've seen mock-ups of it and we've tried different various combinations of pictures, but I don't think until you see it all in the gallery that you really get a full idea of what it actually will look like. And then seeing pictures out of number 10 as well. I've never really seen these pictures and paintings and sculptures outside of number 10. They've always been here in my mind, and that's where I see them. So seeing them in a gallery all together, I think it'd be quite impressive.
I think it'll be just an interesting sort of look at a different perspective of number 10, so make them think that it's more to life than just politics.